All right, hello. Let me fix this real quick. All right, you guys. Who's ready to talk about more cities they might visit in the future? I'm sure everyone wants to go to Russia and Ukraine. Here's the light. Okay. Turn on flux. This app's really good. There we go. All right, guys. Hello, everybody. Okay. So let's talk about some more city reviews of places I have lived. So I've lived in these places, meaning I was there for like a month. Some of these places I was only there for a few days. But you really need a month to like understand a place, I feel like. So I said we were going to do Kiev, St. Petersburg, Moscow. I've lived in all these places for at least a month. And St. Petersburg, I lived in June of 2019, and then Moscow, I was there for like 6 weeks, July and August of 2019. And then Kiev, I was in Kiev from like mid-September to around November 1st of 2021. So COVID was going on, all that COVID bullshit. Remember, it was like annoying to get in, and there was like an app you had to do, and you had to get COVID tests, and it was all bullshit. Traveling sucked back then. But it's over now. At least for now, you know. It might come back any day now. Who knows? But, yeah, I mean, it's interesting. I've lived in both places. They're at war. And I can confidently say these two countries are very similar. Like, the vibe is very similar. The difference between Kiev and St. Petersburg is there's barely any difference, honestly. It's the same shit. The people look the same. The people act the same. It was the same country for, like, 70 years? Same country. It was like going from New Jersey to New York. That's what this border was. It was nothing. Now there's a war and people are dying. Let's start with Let's start with Kiev, I think. You guys want to do Kiev or St. Petersburg? With Kiev, I guess. Let's say hello to everyone in the chat. If we got anybody? One annoying thing is I don't have a separate monitor, so I can't look at the chat in real time. I have to like use my phone. It's not a good, not the best system, but you know, when you're hopping around like I am, this is all you can do sometimes. Can't be running around with monitors and shit, you know? Okay. It's not loading, of course. Great. So do we have any travelers in the chat, or do you guys just stay at home all year and just you like to stay home? Home is safe. You don't need to see places. You can just see them online. It's true. If that's what you do, so be it. Okay, this isn't loading. There we go. Hello, Linda. Hello, Fun Feeds. Hello, Tasso. Hello, Tom Farley. Hello, Worklex. That's it. All right, let's get to work. Turn on our mic. So I lived in Kiev from mid-September 2021 to about end of October, roughly 6 weeks. I went to Kiev because I had spent the summer in Europe, in the Schengen area, and I had to leave, and I didn't really know where to go. And I knew a few guys here, so I was like, okay, let's check out Kiev. I had been to Kyiv once, which is a city in the west, for like a day. So I'd been to Ukraine before, and my impression of it wasn't that great. I know what I'm getting into with it. I'd been to Russia before at this point. I knew the general vibe. The English wasn't going to be that great. It's going to have a hurt communist Eastern Yugoslav vibe. And for the most part, I was right, with a few exceptions, as we'll get into. Kiev is the capital of Ukraine. It's a decent sized city. It's got a couple million pop. It's not a massive city. It's not a sprawling metropolis like Moscow, but it's got a decent amount of people, but it is centralized. It does have a good center. In some ways it feels European, but also it does hold strongly with that Eastern Slav feeling. Actually, it doesn't really feel European at all. Never mind. I don't know why I said that. It feels very, very Slavic. It's a true Slavic city. Having trouble hearing. What the fuck? Hello, Gigi. Hello, Molly. Hello. Oh, we gotta get the template. My bad. Or I can just keep ranting. So yeah, basically I was there before the war happened by a couple months. And I remember there was a lot of anti-Russian sentiment because at that point they had been at war, but the war was localized to this small part in the east of the country. So there were little skirmishes going on, but it wasn't the full-on invasion yet. It had been like that for close to 6 or 7 years. So the people really didn't like Russian. Although they spoke Russian, there was a drive to speak more Ukrainian. So in Ukraine, in the west, they speak Ukrainian, but in the east, they speak Russian. And then in Kiev, they mostly speak Russian as well. But there was a push to speak more Ukrainian, and there was also a big push to just be more nationalistic. Everyone was nationalistic. Boys, girls, whatever. They all thought themselves as much different than Russians. I remember I talked to people, and they say, oh, Ukrainians are nice, but Russians are mean. And honestly, my opinion, fucking same. You go in the grocery store in Ukraine or Russia, it's the same experience. It's the same people, the same blood. Although Ukrainians are a bit more pure, I'd say, in their Eastern Slavenness. Russia's so big, it's got the Kazakhstan, Mongolia. There's some weird stuff mixed in there with it. You'll see some weird people in Russia. Some people you'll never see in the West. Some weird phenotypes that aren't so prevalent in Ukraine. Although you do see a lot of Turks in Ukraine. As I said in my Istanbul review, Turks go there in droves as sex tourists, which is true. Because it's you have Turkey where it's just there's no woman. I walked around Istanbul, there's no woman. And then you fly over to Ukraine and there's a ton. And it's an hour flight. It costs $20. So when you go there as a foreigner, especially a man, most people are going to be thinking you're there for one reason. which is girls. And probably 99% of the time, they're right about that. Most tourists going there are mostly dudes going for the woman. Whether they be young dudes or old dudes, mostly old dudes trying to find a wife. You know, the dudes, like a 48-year-old dude, and he's just done with the West. And he's like, you know what, I'm gonna try and find a wife here. That's what a lot of guys go there for. Now where are they going? Because of the Ukraine war? I don't know. There's a gap in the market. Someone figure it out. So yeah, most people are going for the girls. Did I go there for the girls? I won't lie to you, a little bit. Again, I had my friends there. It was out of the EU. It's pretty cheap. Actually, not that cheap in terms of the Airbnb. I'll get to that in a little bit, but that's like the selling point of the country is like the girls. And I will say about the girls, they're pretty good looking. There's nothing like amazing though. It's just that there's no fat girls. Like it's very rare. I don't think they have enough food there to be fat. So not many fat girls. And then the girls try. In Europe, in Western Europe, there's like a bit of a weight problem. Not as bad as the US, but I would say the style here, it's a little wacky. It's a little alternative, that whole thing. In Ukraine, the style is like very, I wouldn't say like traditional, like people are wearing dresses, but it's very basic. There's no tattoos. You'll see a girl randomly like wearing heels at the mall. Like you'll never see that shit in Norway. Never. But the girls there they like to be empowered by the like not feminism but like looking and dressing nice. But that's what everyone will think you're there for. Your taxi driver, the guy at the restaurant, the guy working at the grocery store. Every guy who sees you there is like, okay, this American guy, or wherever, this European guy, why is he here? And that's what they ask you. Like, why are you here? We're all trying to leave this place. Why are you here? This is like a war-torn country. It's people don't make much. They barely make any money. The GDP is below like African countries. Why would you come here? But they already kind of know. You sound like a misogynist. What are you talking about? What did I say that's misogynistic? If you're gonna make a claim like that, you gotta have a reason for it. Hello, Minty. Hello. I'm just telling the truth. Like, I don't know what you want me to say. I'm just telling the truth. That's the reality of the situation. Girls, well, that's not a good reason. What's your reason? You just said I'm misogynistic. What's your reason? Girls isn't a reason. I'm a straight man who's traveled the world. Obviously, I'm going to like talk about girls a little bit, I'm just telling the reality of the situation. Like, that's the reality of the situation. Take it or leave it, So all this text doesn't like really translate well. I just run it through ChatGPT and it'll look good. So let's go back. Let's get our city. Let's get the template. I like the template. Makes it kind of easier to remember what I have to say about a place. No, you said I'm like, what was misogynistic about that? I don't get it. Like, I'm really trying to understand your point of view. Like, this is like, why do guys go to Pattaya, Thailand? Why do they go to Nana Plaza in Bangkok, Thailand? They're going there for a reason. And it's not to eat some pad thai. All right, let's talk about the demographics. Okay, so the demographics is it's mostly Ukrainian people. Ukrainian people are white. It's a very white city. I would say it's close to, I don't know, 95 to 98% white. And really the only non-white people there are going to be from Turkey. And like I said in my Istanbul review, some Turkish people look kind of white, some don't. So there's some Arab people. But it's mostly a white city. It's very white, actually. It's probably one of the most bigger white cities in the world that you can still find, with maybe only like St. Petersburg and beating it. So that is pretty interesting. The people are Eastern Slav. They have a certain look to them. They pretty much look like Russians, except maybe like a slightly whiter version. But yeah, just think of a Slavic guy. Think of a guy like a Russian mobster guy from a movie. That's kind of what they look like. They have blonde and brown hair. I met a Ukrainian guy during one of my couch surfing in London. He was like blonde. He looked Ukrainian though. Like you could tell he wasn't like Swedish. There's definitely a difference in the look. Overall, I found the people to be, they were okay. You know, it's a big city, Slavic culture. Not super friendly place, but it wasn't too bad. Like, I didn't really have any bad experiences. But then again, I'm like a white dude, so I'm a foreign white guy. Yeah, they probably don't love foreigners there now, because again, there's a lot of sexpats coming in. There's a lot of misogynists coming in to get the girls. I think they know that already. I think they accept that. But I didn't have any problems. Let's talk about the price. The Airbnb market in Kiev in 2021, I paid $1,200 for a pretty small apartment. It was like a newly furnished one, but it was pretty basic. Although the location was good. It was right in the center. It was right across from the Olympia Stadium, which is where like big concerts are. Like Imagine Dragons played there a few months before I came there. That was a big deal. And it's really close to this mall called Gulliver. It was like a 10-minute walk from the big mall, Gulliver, and then probably like a 20-minute walk from the big main area in the center. So location stuff is really what I was paying for, but it was $1,200, which if you compare it to Western Europe or the West, that's pretty cheap. But I was expecting to pay even less, because I'm thinking like Ukraine, the people make like $400 a month. So I was a bit surprised I had to pay that much. I was really hoping to like get in at like 800. And with the Airbnb, there's a lot of apartments that are pretty shitty. Like they're like the old Soviet apartment. No one really wants those. So all the modern, newly built apartments are all very expensive on Airbnb because, again, ton of foreigners coming in, trying to get the girls. Guess what? They'll pay $1,600, $1,700 for like a nice place in the center, which no Ukrainian is going to pay. But there's a market for it, so they pay. Oh, and by the way, with the girls, I'm going to get more into it because there's some interesting stuff about it, you know. Maybe you'll find it misogynistic, maybe not. There's a lot of sugar daddy stuff going on there. I'm just telling the truth. Let's talk about the price of restaurants. Restaurants are pretty cheap. I was like $6 or $7 for a meal. A lot of pretty good restaurants. There's a good array of things to eat. For whatever reason, in a lot of these countries, there's a lot of Georgian restaurants. I don't know why, but Georgian restaurants are really popular. So there's a couple good Georgian restaurants, and they have like kunkali, which is like this dumpling thing, and so yeah, there's a decent amount of food, and food's pretty cheap. And then they have, regular grocery stores. So food is quite cheap. My one problem with these countries like Russia, Ukraine is that the portion they give you isn't really that good. So it's cheap, but your portion's small. I think that's how they stay thin. They're not eating much. There are people that doesn't eat much. ChatGPT can fill in every month. The weather in Kiev is not very good. Summers are hot and there's no AC. There's mosquitoes too. I think there's a mosquito problem. Short fall and spring, when it's probably the best. And the winters are bad. They got bad winters. You don't want to be there in December or January. That's all I got to say. So winters are brutal. Summers are hot and sweaty, mosquito-y. I was there in the fall, which is probably the best time. Tourism, there's some stuff to do, like Chernobyl's, I think, an hour or two away or something. So you can go to Chernobyl if you want. As far as things in Kiev, there's like a statue of a lady holding a sword. There's the main square. There's a couple churches. I'm really trying to remember what I did for tourism. I don't know, the metro's cool. Some cool metro stations. Hold on. Where's my chat? There we go. Hello, Sweet Candle. How you doing, buddy? It's Jen Claus. Was I banned? I could not enter. I don't think anyone banned you. You're very nice. Hello, Mandy. Hello, Lutra. Hello, Gigi. Okay. Let's talk about nightlife. So I went out a little bit here. I didn't go out a lot. Nightlife in Ukraine, it's not as It's not as open as the West. They don't have like the town pub, the town bar. They got some like stuffy clubs where you're supposed to get a bottle. The whole bottle thing is big over there. They'll get a club and get a bottle and show off that whole thing. I don't really do that. There's not like many bars and pubs to meet people. The nightlife, it's like that typical Slavic nightlife. It's the same in Russia. Some of the clubs might have face control where they don't let everyone in. The face control means they'll look at you, and if they don't like your look, they won't let you in. So there's that whole thing going on. I think there's a lot of prostitution in the clubs, from what I've read. Like I remember looking up a club near me. It was like a 5-minute walk from my place, and then it was like, oh, some Turkish guys in the Google reviews are saying, oh, there's prostitutes there, and I was like, okay, I don't want to go there. I don't want to deal with that. So that wasn't fun. So not the best place for nightlife. It's not very free and open nightlife. It's more stuffy status type lifestyle. People acting like the money they have money they don't have, basically. Girls looking for a sugar daddy. Not my scene, really. City layout. I liked how the city was laid out. It's laid out nice. Overall, it's got a decent flow to it. It's not super cozy, though. Like, if you look at pictures of it, it's not super cozy. Again, post-communist, Eastern Slavic, not the nicest. But the city itself is okay. It's got a good core center. It's a big city, remember, but everything kind of flows to the center, which I like. So overall, I like the city layout. So the big public transportation is the metro. The metro goes really far underground, big escalators. Just think big escalators. It takes like a minute to go down. And you go all the way down. There's the metro. And the metro is pretty good. It's fast. It's pretty cool doing it too. Gets nice and crowded. So overall, metro good. I don't think they have trams or anything, or I don't remember any buses. And then Uber's cheap. Uber is cheap. Again, cheap country. It costs like, $6, $7 to get an Uber. Or a Bolt. I think they use Bolt there. So download Bolt and Uber when you go. If you go. If you go. I doubt anyone in this chat's going. But whatever. That seems shady. Yeah, it's shady, man. These clubs are probably ran by the mafia. Thank you, Jen Claus, for the $5 Canadian. Appreciate your support. Yeah, I mean, Ukraine, I should write this, but Ukraine protects its rich people. It protects its mafia. It protects its corruption. That's how it works there. It's all protected. It ain't a Norway or Sweden, like there's corruption. Is there graffiti on the metro? I don't think so. The metro stations are nice. Should you visit? Honestly, you should only visit if you have Ukrainian heritage, I think is if you should visit. But like a normal person, there's better places to go. Yeah, maybe you're a dude, you're 45, you can't get a woman in the West. Go to Ukraine. Might be better for you. So that's the two reasons. Me, I like the Ukrainian look, but I don't like their mindset. So I'm going to talk about that in a little bit, probably. I don't like their mindset. They're very like, oh, I'm a princess and I need a man that pays for everything. I'm more into like the 50-50 thing. Like, I understand the man should pay a little bit more because the woman has to have a baby at some point, and that's tough on the body. You can't work for a couple months. So maybe 60-40 is what I'm into. But with the Ukrainians, it's totally like, you're the man, you got to handle everything. I just got to look hot. You handle everything. I just chill and look good and get my nails done. I don't care about that. Food. I think I talked about this a little already. Ukrainian food isn't the best. It's the same as Russian food, basically. It's like borscht, which is some beetroot soup. They make some dumplings as well. Pierogi. Yeah, there's not much to say about Ukrainian food. But again, there's Indian food, there's Lebanese food, there's all types of food, there's sushi. Not like great sushi. It's not a world-class city for food, but there is a variation of food, and guess what? It's cheap. Dating. I was just talking about this. I used online dating a bit, and I knew guys who they would do day game. They would walk around the street, try and talk to girls. And then nightlife, I didn't really do nightlife that much. But the talking to girls on the street thing, I think it worked pretty well there for them because I think the girls didn't mind it. Because again, they try and be all feminine, and it's like a masculine thing to just see a girl on the street and say, hey, I like you. Can I get your number? So I think the girls there respect that. And then the online was okay. There were girls who were just looking for a sugar daddy. They made it pretty obvious. I met a few, though. They were pretty nice. The girls were way nicer than I thought, by the way, because my friend had been there in like 2016. And the problem with my friend is he looks a little Turkish. Just a little bit. He's actually half Brazilian, half American. But he looks slightly tanned, like a tanned white guy. But the girls thought he was Turkish, so he met up with a few, and he said like two of them, it happened twice. He was like walking with them, and they're like, oh, I want this bag. And it was like an expensive bag, and he said no, and then they just ran away. They just walked away. And they all thought he was Turkish. They didn't believe he was American. Because I guess the Turks try and lie about where they're from. Because their reputation there isn't very good. Because again, look how close it is. Istanbul. Kiev. But I don't think I would go back there just for that. Safety. I would say overall Kiev is safe. It's not like a first world country, like a Switzerland safe. But I would say overall it's pretty safe. I wouldn't worry about it. Maybe there'll be some drunk people at night, some hooligans. Overall, I wouldn't worry about it. Digital nomad factor. So I think the digital nomad factor here is pretty good just because it's cheap. Again, I paid $1,200 for the Airbnb. You could probably get one for $1,000 in a not so good location. $1,400 is probably all you need to live there, so pretty cheap. You're in the center. There's things to do. There's tons of young people. Weather's not great. It's outside the EU. So you hit the EU, then you hop outside the EU, boom, Ukraine. That's why Ukraine was good. Hop out of the EU, oh yeah, go to Ukraine, right there. Nice and close to Poland. You do your time outside the EU, hop right back in. So very good digital nomad factor, actually. English. So this was actually my favorite part about Kiev that I really liked. Because before this, I'd been, Russia. And Russia and Ukraine kind of feel the same. But the English in the center of Ukraine was actually very good. I was very surprised. All, like, at the restaurants or at the service places, the young people, everyone, it felt like everyone under 30 spoke English. And that made my life a lot easier. That's like the biggest thing. I don't go to places anymore with bad English. Well, I went to Istanbul, but I messed up with that. I messed up with Istanbul. But the English in Ukraine In Kiev, no. In Ukraine overall, it's probably bad, but Kiev is good because they're learning it. Because they're trying to get into the EU and go party in the Netherlands or whatever. So thumbs up for that. Pollution. So yeah, I don't think the air quality is very good. It's near Chernobyl. You know, it's got radiation still pumping out, I think. It's got radiated water. The water's messed up. You can't drink the water. I remember showering in the water and it didn't feel good. So the water's sus. You have to buy bottled water every day. I hate that. Bottled water every day. Air quality not good. Chernobyl nearby. I think the food quality was okay. That felt, passable. I'm going to have to look this up. I think you can get 6 months in Kiev. So you get 3 months. I think you can extend to get 6 months for the year. So that's pretty good. Yeah. They want to be part of us. Yeah, they want to. They don't want to be part of Russia. Russia. Here's the thing. Russia boring. Russia is boring and shitty. EU in the West fun. You got Italy and France and all those fun places. When you come back to Strong Island, maybe in Christmas. Peter's met somebody. That's not true. I'd prefer a Scandinavian girl over a Slavic girl. Because if you have a problem with money, if you have a money problem, that Slavic girl is going to leave. She's out. She says, nah, this is you. At least with the Scandinavian girl, they'd be like, a partner with you and try and help you out, help out the situation. Because they work too, Slavic girl, be like, nah, you're the man. You gotta figure out the money thing, or I'm out. I look pretty, you make money. That's how it works. Is Molly Duran a bot? What are they saying? Are you a bot? I have a lot to talk about with Ukraine, but that was a good start. Well, you can't go to Ukraine now, so it might get destroyed. Who knows? Putin might literally invade it, and you can't go there ever again. All right. I'm trying to think about what else to say. Oh, we can talk about the airport. You guys have anything else you want to know about Kiev? I think I use the other airport. Where's the other airport? Boryspil. So Boryspil is the one I used. It's kind of far. Kind of sucks. But Uber's cheap, so it's not a big deal. Let's do a little. Kiev has 2 airports. Come on. Boryspil. I don't want that text. I'll talk about that later. I think we've done a good job here. I'm gonna fix that up later on my off time, and then add it to the blog. So let's talk about St. Petersburg next. St. Petersburg and Kiev are very similar. St. Petersburg is bigger, though. It's like double the size. In terms of population, not the actual city size. So, if we look at the map here, Kiev is there. Could talk about the location of Kiev as well, but St. Petersburg is north. It's almost the same. It's close to Helsinki. It's very close to Finland. Yeah, it's close to the border of Finland. It's all the way up north. You can kind of see it there. What's fucked up about Russia is like St. Petersburg and Moscow are like, those are the main cities of all the people, all the money, all the power. Look how big the country is. Like all the power is in this region right here. There's nothing over here except, I guess, lumber and maybe some, who knows. You don't want to be in Omsk. I think I met a girl from Omsk. You don't want to be there. Okay, let's talk about Russia. Is anyone here from Russia? Molly, Molly, where are you from? Are you a real person? Where are you from? Tell us about her. Hello, SG. What are your thoughts on corporate jargon? I think it's important for making profit. Hello, Peter. My country said, where the money goes out the door, love jumps out the window. Hello, Katie girl. Molly seems real. How old are you, Molly? Maybe I can consult with you about some city reviews. All right, let's talk about St. Petersburg. Well, let's look at it on a map first. This is probably a place no one in this chat will go to because you need a visa to go here, which I got the visa. It was like $200. It was a 3-year visa. I got it in Helsinki. I was in Helsinki in 2019. I took a bus from Helsinki to St. Petersburg. At the border, they were all, oh, what's an American guy doing in St. Petersburg? The Finnish border guard were assholes. The Russians just let me in. So that was annoying. But I got the visa, $200, took 2 weeks, 3-year visa. The visa was awesome, by the way. The visa, I could be there for 6 months. And all it took to reset that 6 months was stay out of the country for 1 day. So if I was living in St. Petersburg, I could live there for 6 months, take a bus to Estonia for a day, stay overnight, come back in, get stamped in, another 6 months. So essentially, you could live there for 3 years on this $200 visa. You could just live there. You're like a citizen almost. 3 fucking years. Now, what do Russians get to get into the U.S.? It's hard as hell for them. It is tough for them to get in. They have to go through multiple interviews. They have to they get their phone searched. It's like a battle. But no one's going to Russia, so it's whatever. I think the visa's easy because there's Russian Americans. Maybe they make it easier for them to come back. Maybe something like that. And I have not been typing this. Oh no. You want to rent a Jeep and go off-roading in the Nordic wilderness? Yeah, man, I want to leave Oslo for a day or two. Again, I'm talking to the Swedish guy with a car. He says his car's all fucked up. He's got no money. He's living off loans. His car's about to break down. He can't make it to Bergen. Bergen's 7 hours away. I'm going to have to take a train. The train's like at least $100. Probably because it's about to be June. It's going to be like $130. That's one way. I got to take the train back. Is Bergen worth that much money? I don't know. I think I might try and persuade him maybe to drive somewhere else, maybe a city closer by, just to get out of Oslo. I haven't left this like block in like a week. Bea's been to Moscow. Nice. So I'm going to do a Moscow review after this one. Peter doesn't like us banning anybody. I mean, you guys are the mods. You got to think about it. When I'm an adult on YouTube, I won't ask that. Well, if she has a live stream and some person in the live stream is saying random stuff, would you A, ban them, or B, try to get to know their situation? And the best way to get to know someone, how old are they? Where are they from? Kind of get a background of the situation. Or you could just ban them. Okay. Let's do this shit. Voice typing. St. Petersburg is probably one of the most interesting cities or places I have visited in my travels. In terms of uniqueness, in terms of not many people go there. Most of the foreigners, or most of the tourists that are going there are A, Chinese people, or B, other Russian people from other parts of the country. That's who's visiting St. Petersburg. There's not many foreigners there. I guess C would be like people from Kazakhstan or Dagestan or whatever the hell it is. Russian people don't like them, by the way. I think they're racist against them. They don't like them. So being a foreigner in St. Petersburg was pretty interesting. People were surprised to meet you. People got kind of excited, It's like, oh, an American guy. Even though the countries been in a Cold War and a hot war with each other, I still think if you went today, people would be interested in you. Like, you wouldn't receive that much bad attention. It's a supply and demand thing. London, no one cares. No one gives a fuck you're American in London. Because there's like a billion tourists everywhere. There's a billion foreigners. No one cares. Same with like anywhere in Italy or Spain. But in Russia, there's not that many of you. So you're special. Now, the worst part about Russia is that the English is not good. At least it wasn't good in 2019. It's been 6 years, so it's probably a little better because Russian kids like to play video games. And you can learn English on the video games. That's actually how most kids learn English, though. That's why this is kind of a tangent. The Swedish guy I stayed with in Stockholm, couch surfing, he was an English teacher. And he said the boys were way better at English than the girls in the younger ages because they were playing video games all day, and they mostly speak English in the video games. So they were way better at English than the girls. Like, they already had a mastery of it, basically, while the girls took a couple more years to catch up with the English. So I'm thinking in Russia, at least for the guys, the English is probably a little better. But when I was there in 2019, the English was a huge problem. Like I remember before I went, I tried to learn a little bit. I was watching some Google, some Duolingo. But you are, and okay, and I was in Helsinki. Helsinki, very good English, not a problem. Russia, totally opposite. Just you try and speak English with someone, or you speak to someone in broken English, they come back at you with like super fast Russian. You're like, я не русский. Я не русский. It means I'm not Russian. Я не знаю. Means I don't know. And you hop on your translator. Most of the menus didn't have English either. So I remember getting there and I was like, "What?" I was like, "Oh my god!" Like I was kind of scared because it's like because I kind of look a little Russian. It's not like I look Chinese. And when you go to Thailand or Japan and you're a tourist, they see a white guy or they'll see a black guy or whatever. They'll see a foreigner and they'll say, okay, this guy does not speak our language. They're going to know what to do in that situation. Like get a translator app out or have like the special menu come out. In Russia, like there's none of that. They don't know how to handle foreigners there because there's so few of them besides the groups of Chinese who have a curated experience. They're not really interacting with the Russians anyways. So that was the biggest problem. Like just going into a restaurant was hard. Just like buying anything was a battle. It was like a mental battle. I had a friend go there in 2014 and he said he tried to buy, he was in St. Petersburg and he tried to buy some food at the store, and the cashier lady started saying something to him, and okay. Why did it stop going? Did I think Molly's a bot? Like it's like a sophisticated bot just saying random shit. St. Petersburg close to Scandinavia? Yes, it is. It's very close. XGPT is bad at punctuation. I mean, this is just Google Docs. This is me talking. This is Google Docs. Hello, PG. Not a good choice. Someone deleted a message. Yeah, time him out. Molly Duran. Trying to buy some food. The cashier lady looked at him and started saying something. He didn't know what she was saying. And then when he didn't respond because he didn't know, she started yelling at him. She was mad. She was yelling at him. And he just ran out of the store because he didn't know what to do. He just ran out. And for the rest of his trip, he just went to this one place. It was like this Irish pub place. And it had an English menu. So the rest of his trip, he just ate at this pub because it had an English menu. So doing anything there is like, it's like a mental hurdle because that situation might happen and it's awkward and shitty. I can say a lot about this place. I'm just saying a wall of text. So the people are going to be the same as Kiev. The people of Russia have mostly an Eastern Slavic look. They're white Slavic, blonde, brown hair. But the difference between Russia and Ukraine is like Ukraine is more of a pure Eastern Slav. Russia's got like all this weird stuff in it. It's got like this weird Mongolian, Kazakhstan people coming in. It's, the Dagestan, Turkmenistan. It's got all this like weird stuff in it. And some of the people you can kind of see, they look a little different. It's almost like they're mixed race, but not really. It's hard to explain. So the demographics, it's mostly white Russians. It's probably like 90% white Russian, maybe 95%, and then 5%, the migrants from Kazakhstan, some Asian looking ones, some Arabic, Turkish looking ones. Not many black people there. Maybe like, I think I saw a few, but they're very rare there. Not many. So it's interesting because it's really the last. How should I put this? It's almost like the last metropolis of white people in the world, because it's a big city. It's like 6 million people. It's like the last white metropolis, because is London white? Not really. Is Paris white? Not really. It's really like St. Petersburg is it. And maybe Moscow. I think Moscow is more migrants, so I think St. Petersburg is it. So that's kind of an interesting point to think about. And yeah, there's 6 million people, and the city isn't that big, so it feels pretty bustling. Like all the metro stations during rush hour are totally bustling. The center street is a street called Nevsky, always bustling. Tons of people everywhere. It felt more alive than Moscow. Moscow is actually like Moscow is huge. It's this huge circle thing. And I was in the center of Moscow. Moscow wasn't that good, but since St. Petersburg is like a nice centralized European feeling city, it felt more lively, which I really liked. I'll show you guys on Google Maps what I'm talking about. Where's Nevsky? There it is. You guys see it, Nevsky. It's called Nevsky's Prospect. This is the main avenue of the city. So there's a few islands, but really the center is like, I would say the main center is there's a mall right here called Galleria. That's like the big, nice mall. And Nevsky is this main street, and it cuts through, it's got all the canals. I have so much to say about this city. It's really going to take a long time to do this. So let's see what Nevsky looks like. I want to show you guys. So it's this big avenue. It's got some nice churches. This looks like a probably early in the morning or something. Then why is there no people? So that's Nevsky. That's the main avenue, and it goes all the way to the Royal Palace area, which is like a nice area. Where is it? This is probably the coolest part about the city over here, is like this area. You see it? It's the Palace Square. There's the Winter Palace. It's cool. I've been here. I think I might have an old video of me being there. So I've physically been to this place. And I've been to the Winter Palace too, which is quite nice. I think I still have old videos of it. It's a beautiful city, by the way. It's like, I was there 6 years ago. It's a beautiful city. It's very European feeling. It's definitely the best place to go in Russia by far. Like if you go to Russia, I made the mistake of going to Moscow because I was here for a month and my friend was going to Moscow, which I'll talk about later. He was going to Moscow. I said, okay, let's check out Moscow. Big mistake because Moscow kind of sucked. I'll talk about it later, but St. Petersburg's way better. St. Petersburg is a cool city. If they could speak English here, I probably would have went back at some point. But the English was terrible, so. And my visa ran out. I don't have a visa anymore. That shit ran out. But that's the city. Would you say Moscow is close to the North Pole? St. Petersburg is closer. Because again, let's look. St. Petersburg, there. Moscow there. So you can see the North Pole is up here. St. Petersburg does have the white nights as well, with the sun it's almost on the same lateral as Oslo here. So the sun doesn't go down to like 11:30 here. It's really crazy. Moscow, the sun probably goes down at like 10. All right, let's keep blasting through. Winter Palace, Galleria Mall, Nevsky, Palace Square. There's all these churches. St. Isaac's. St. Isaac's was in the James Bond movie GoldenEye. Kazan Cathedral. The Bloody Church. What was the Bloody Church? Bloody Church, SPB. I messed up. I never went in this. I should have went in this thing, but I didn't. So this is cool. It's like a old school church. It's called Church of the Savior on Blood. It's a cool church. And I should have went inside, but I didn't. I was typical lazy me. I did go into the Winter Palace, though, which is cool. I did do that. The Winter Palace. It was pretty cool. It was a fucking palace, man. Royalty lived there, and they just had random stuff. Just the elites of the 1700s and the 1800s. And I got to walk there. Me, Peter Wins. Unfortunately, I didn't do YouTube at the time, so I just took a couple pictures like anyone else would. Unfortunately. Let's talk about the price. I think Airbnb's banned there. The price is pretty cheap there for the Airbnb. I think you can find a place for like around $900, I remember. If you went off Airbnb, it'd be like $500 for a month for an apartment. It's cheap. Russian people are not paying much for their apartment. And again, there's not much tourism. And there's not much outsiders coming in. There's no Americans coming in messing up the real estate market, so it's cheap. The food was cheap, like $5 a meal. Same as Ukraine, though. The meal size is small. So keep that in mind. And then taxis and stuff were pretty inexpensive. And drinking was pretty inexpensive. Hold on, stupid thing. All right. St. Petersburg does not have good weather. It's far north. It's only good in the summer, basically. Outside the summer, it's cold. Same as Ukraine, there's mosquitoes. I had a terrible problem with mosquitoes in Russia, I remember. Those things were awful. I couldn't open the windows, because if I opened the window, mosquitoes would get in and harass me. But if I didn't open the window, it'd be hot out. So it was a massive battle between me and the mosquitoes. And what's weird is in Finland, I never had a problem with mosquitoes in the summer. But in Russia, it's awful. That and the bad English was the worst part about Russia. The freaking mosquitoes. It gets cold there. I do think it has some charm, or I imagine it would have some charm in the winter months, as it's all snowy and dark and the city's lit up. I never saw that side of the city. I was only there in the summer. But I do imagine it during the winter to be probably a little magical. Because that's the problem with the sun never going down. It's like sometimes you want to see a city at night, just that different vibe. Tourism. So yeah, only Chinese people and other Russians are really going there. Outside of that, there's really not that many tourists going to Russia, especially now because of the war. But it's actually a fantastic city for tourism. Just by walking around the city, seeing the sights, the churches. Again, we went over the palace. It's actually very good for tourism. It's very interesting. So I'm actually going to rate tourism very high here. It's a pity, though, you can't go there easily at this moment. I think maybe they included like some easy to get visa, like a tourism visa for St. Petersburg specifically. I have to look that up. Lou. So, nightlife in Russia is weird. It's not like the West. It's not like an easy to get into pub or bar. There's a lot of face control. And the weird thing is, this is a 6 million person city. There's a lot of people. There are a ton of young people walking around. And when it came to the nightlife, it was like there really wasn't much. I remember there were 2 active streets. One is called Doomskaya. Doomskaya was like a weird street where like it felt like you were gonna get scammed. Like it was like a scammer street where I think people are like trying to drug you. They're even trying to drug like Russian people that go there. Like a Russian dude go there, he might get drugged. That was Doomskaya. Where is it? There it is. I remember it. Let's see. Yep. This road. This is like the sketchy nightlife road. All these bars right here. Like a little, even looks sketchy right now. This was like a nightlife spot. Doomskaya. It was weird. I tried to go out there a few times. I was younger. I was like 28. Now I wouldn't do that shit ever. You got rhinos. You got some strip clubs. Some bars over here. What is this? What's going on here? Some weird Russian shit. So it's called Doomskaya. The other one was called... Where is it? It was either this one. No. Murata, no. I think it was this one. It was Rubenstein. Was it Rubenstein? There's a McDonald's. There's a friggin' McDonald's. I can't remember the frickin' street. I'll have to look it up later. Okay. Look up street. Anyway, the street I forgot. That street had like a ton of bars and cafes. It was like a big bar and cafe street. It also had like a karaoke bar, which I went to once, and some other places. But again, as far as like meet people bars, like Russia just really doesn't have that. It's weird. Like the meet people places are in America. The dive bars or whatever. Like it doesn't have that. It's weird. It's missing that. Did it have high-end clubs that I walked by and go into? Yeah, it's got the high-end clubs. Same thing as Kiev I talked about, where like, you know, everyone dresses up really nice, pretending like they have money they don't have. And there's the whole face control thing, and it's just really trying to be someone you're not, taken to the next level. And it's funny because I'm in Norway now, which is a rich country, and you know, even here it's like it's just so chill when it comes to the clubs and stuff. There's no face control. There's 2 more areas I can talk about the nightlife. There is one nightlife area, and I called it the Church of the Bloody Savior area, because it was right near that church. And the next one was this weird, I don't even know what to call it. It was this like weird area with all these like little rooms and people were partying. I don't even know how to describe. Like, I wish I took a video of it because it was so unique. Hold on. Church of the Bloody Savior. This thing. What is this? St. Michael's Castle? Look, there's just like castles and shit everywhere. It's a beautiful city, man. The Field of Mars. The Summer Garden. Where's I'm gonna share something disgusting with you guys, I think. All the memories of St. Petersburg are coming back to me now. They're all coming back to me. So I think it was like right here. There was nightlife. There was like a bunch of clubs and shit I went to. And the weird area, it was like over here on this river. Beautiful city, like look at it. It's like the Venice of the North. It's beautiful. I went for a boat ride. I went on Reddit 6 years ago and I said, hey, American guy in Russia, anyone want to meet up? And I met this guy and his friend had a boat. And we went on the boat and we went on a boat ride and then I never talked to him again. But that was fun. Hold on, I'm trying to find this place. I think I scrolled past it already. If I can't find it, I'll look for it another time. It was right over here, though. It's probably gone by now. Oh well. I'll look for it off stream. So Russian people party really, really hard. And they do a lot of drugs. Drugs are very popular there. To keep them up all night. They party all night. I think it's normal for Russian people to party until like, I'm not even joking you, like 10 or 11 o'clock a.m. Like 11 a.m. is when they'll go to sleep. Especially during the summer, the white nights. So it's all messed up because at like 2 a.m. the sun starts coming up again. Like at 2 a.m. it's already getting like bright. I remember walking around like 4 a.m. for these people is like a time, it's like halfway through the night where you can go to another club. Because I met a few people and we were walking around. And I was just like, holy shit, this is degenerate as fuck. Just 4 a.m. It's like bright outside. The birds are chirping and like, we're going to go to another club. So they stay up all night. Degenerate, crazy. They like to drink. Actually, they don't drink that much. Western people drink more because the nightlife, while crazy on the weekend, if you know like the spots to go to, because it's hard to find the spots to go to. They don't drink that much because like the West is where like people are going out on Wednesday and Thursday. Russian people, like I don't think they have enough money for that. They don't have enough time and money to go out on those days. But on the weekdays in the summer, they go crazy. I've seen some shit. Russian people are a whole nother beast, man. Like there's like a whole different culture. It's hard to explain, I come to like Norway. Is the culture a little different? Yeah, it's a little different, but I still feel like it's like we're pretty similar in a lot of ways. American people and Western Europeans, they like the bitch that we're not. We're pretty similar culturally. But Russia's got, it's just like totally different how they think. But looks-wise, they might look the same as you, but culturally, They have a whole new mindset. So I will say about the nightlife, if you can figure it out and do the legwork, it's probably pretty good. That's what I'll say about it. I remember a nasty story, by the way. I don't know if you guys want to hear it. I don't know if if you guys want to hear the nasty story. Who wants to hear a nasty story? Hello, Topspin. I was in Moscow during winter and it'd snow every day. It was magical, but also depressing. The city is laid out very, very nice. I think the city was made by Italians and Germans, and they know what they're doing with cities. So the Russians, I guess, I don't know the history, but they came in, they say, hey, build us a city. Peter the Great said, build me a city. And they built it, and it's got all these nice canals and some nice parks. And the city makes a lot of sense. It's got these very wide streets, too. It's a cool city. And it's got a good layout. It's got a good center. I approve. The main public transport is the metro. It's got a very good metro. It's got the deepest metro in the world where it's so deep you have to take 2 escalators to get down it. But overall, the metro isn't overly complicated like Moscow is, and it's simplistic, and the stations are beautiful. And it's what most Russians take to work, so it's usually packed. And there's always people streaming in and out of the metros. It's a cool sight to behold. Besides that, there is Yandex Taxi, which is like their Uber. And that's pretty cheap. Not too expensive. It's called Yandex. Big company over there. Same as Ukrainian. Not very good. There's a lot of Georgian places too. I don't know why, but Georgian places are everywhere in Ukraine and Russia. They love Georgian places. They also love hookah. Getting food and hookah they love it. Let's get some Georgian food, some hookah. That's like a Friday night for Russian people. Just chilling with the hookah. Again, I've never really done that with my friends. Just we go out at night to meet people. If I'm not meeting people, I'm staying inside. I'm fucking around on my computer. So I used Tinder in Russia, and honestly, it was pretty damn good. I got a lot of matches. I got probably the most matches I've ever gotten, maybe outside of like Bangkok. Now the problem is the English isn't good, so like I couldn't talk to a lot of them because they didn't speak English, and a few of them, this was actually a problem. They would use Google Translate and speak English with me, and I thought they could speak English, but it would turn out they couldn't speak English, and they never told me. So I remember I met a few people, and they'd be like, they would say the Google Translate, I'm learning English, and I've never really done like a Google Translate date thing before, so that was kind of tough dealing with that. You know, it's like you're sitting next to someone, you can't talk to them. And it doesn't help that I'm in their country, and everyone can speak their language, and I'm like the only one that can't. But online dating, you could definitely meet people there, because again, supply and demand. There's no foreigners there. So I'd have like 100,000 guys they swipe on. I was like the only foreigner. And they're like, what the hell is this? And of course, you know, us Americans, we got a little bit more swag. We got a little bit more fashion. The Russian guys, I think they're lacking a little bit, you know. They're lacking a little bit. But the culture is very similar to what I said in Ukraine, where it's very traditional. The man is expected to pay for everything. And the man is supposed to be masculine and take charge and lead and all that. No 50-50. The safety of St. Petersburg is kind of questionable. I wouldn't say it felt like a dangerous place to me. Again, one, I blended in pretty well there, and I'm tall, so I'm not like a good target. But I think overall it is a safe place, but it's not the safest. The one problem everyone kind of warned me about was the cops. Everyone said, don't interact with the cops, avoid the cops. It's because the police are corrupt as hell there, apparently. It's a place where if you're into bribing people, that'll work very well for you. Bribes work there. But as a foreigner, you don't want to be talking to the cops because they might mess with you and ask money from you. I never got into that situation. But I think I had a Chinese friend go there, and the cops stopped him in the metro and questioned him. So if you're not white, that might be more of a problem for you. Digital nomad factor. The Wi-Fi was okay. Now, here's an interesting thing. My friend went there to Moscow. He went to Russia. And he's a day trader, and he was going to live there for a while and day trade. And he's very specific with having good internet and having fast fills for his trades in the market. But for whatever reason with Russia, the fills were very slow, and he determined that because he was in Russia, it was his orders were having to go through some firewall to get filled, and the difference was slow. And he thought it was the Wi-Fi at first, but it turns out that's what it was. So keep that in mind if you have some type of online business. It's Russia. There's going to be weird rules about things. You have to be cognizant of that. It's Russia. The West does not like Russia. So keep that in mind. I remember my bank, I was having trouble getting cash out with my bank card. I couldn't do it. The card will work for transactions, but I remember trying so hard to get cash, and I forget eventually what I did, but it was just you're in Russia. Things are going to be more complicated, basically. You got to be prepared for that. Bring cash beforehand. Have multiple debit cards. Have multiple ways to get money out. And most places accepted card. Most places accepted card. There's also some dumb thing you had to do. It was a registration thing, a city registration thing. And it's from I don't know, Soviet times, where all the people had to register to the city they're in if they ever move. And if you're a tourist, you have to do this too. And it's really weird because a lot of Airbnb people don't want to do it because it's annoying. You have to go to some office and register with the government. So I remember this hotel had this service where it would say you were there for a month, and you'd pay them $20-$30, and they do it for you. Now, the reason you have to do this is sometimes when you leave the country, they want to see that paperwork of where you've been. If you don't have the paperwork, they might get mad and fine you. I did get the paperwork, but when I left, they didn't ask for it. So that was a big annoyance, like trying to figure out how to register with this paperwork. It was stupid. Nowhere else wants you to register. Pollution. Yeah, I wouldn't drink the tap water, and the air quality is okay. Not amazing. I think it's like a mid-tier when it comes to pollution. There are rivers around and some nice airflow coming through. Whew. All right, we got to work through this Moscow. I'm getting tired here, people. I'm getting tired. Okay. I hear Russians also enjoy a good Peter cooking stream. Yeah, they probably would. Russian people like streaming, I think. Slavics like coffee and cigarettes for breakfast. Where are you from, Minty? Are you from like Spain or something? Okay. I'll fix this up later. God damn. So I'll go on the blog. I gotta find someone to make me my blog better. It's so hard to find someone though, because there's so many people in like the freelance space. There's so many people in the freelance space, and it's so hard to find someone. Like $100 to build me a website. There's like just billions of Indian people and Asian people all trying to do it, and you don't know who to pick. You know, it's not like, oh, I want to buy this thing. I'll hop on Amazon. There it is. It's tough. You don't know if you're going to get a good person or a bad person. It's just random. Okay. Okay, I'll show you guys Moscow. Again, I wish I took footage of this city. You can watch it on YouTube, like 4K walks. Great city. So I took a 9-hour bus ride, and it sucked. Down to Moscow. After a month of being in St. Petersburg. Got there July 2019. Look how big the city is. It's got the rings. You guys see the rings? It's got the... Is that 4 rings? See, rings. It goes down and down and down and down. And there's the Kremlin and the Red Square in the middle. It's got that weird looking church again. There's the Red Square. Russian people don't, like, people that live here don't go here, by the way. This is totally a tourist area. They don't go to these places, man. Maybe they'll go once a year. That's the Red Square. Right in the center of Moscow. That's where Putin lives. That's where the war is being raged politically there. The Kremlin. Unbroken. It's quite beautiful, honestly. So you can see this is like the inner ring, the second ring, and then this is the third ring. So that kind of makes up the city. It's a huge city, you know. It's very spread out. Massive, massive city. 20 million people. Too many fucking people, man. Let's look at the Moscow metro map. It's confusing, man. Moscow. Look at that shit. Now let's look at St. Petersburg. Way easier. Way, way easier. Let's look at Kiev's. Kiev's is pretty easy too. Look at that. Then Moscow metro map. Fucking disaster. All right, let's power through this. The last review. You didn't visit the Hermitage? What's the Hermitage? What is that? Ah, yeah, I went to the Winter Palace. Yeah, I went there. It was beautiful. It's the type of place I deserve to be in. I deserve to live there. Maybe once my YouTube career starts taking off, we can start projecting towards that fantasy. Nah, rich people wouldn't live there nowadays. It's too cold there, man. It's too cold. All right, let's do this. So I took a 9-hour bus ride from St. Petersburg to Moscow in the beginning of July 2019. And I got an Airbnb, I think for about $1,200, close to the center in an area called Chesty Prudy. I don't know what that means in Russian, but that was the metro station, and I was quite close to the center. The Airbnb wasn't great. It was like an old Russian-style Airbnb. Had mosquito problems there too, by the way. Disaster. So Moscow is a massive city. 20 million people. Endless people. Tons of metro stations. Just a huge, huge city. Almost like 10 cities in one, basically. Moscow is not my type of city. I greatly preferred St. Petersburg. It's just more tight-knit. Felt more lively. Moscow is too big for its own good. At the center of Moscow is the Red Square and the Kremlin. The Red Square usually has a lot of tourists, again, mostly Chinese, but it's mostly a big tourist area. And the difference between St. Petersburg and Moscow centers is that Nevsky, which was the center street in St. Petersburg, was used by everybody, tourists, the locals, whoever. In Moscow, it was literally only tourists. Locals don't go there. It's not a place to hang out. Again, the city's too big. They're not going all the way to the Kremlin to hang out there. But it's like a cool area. You know, you get Lenin's tomb. Lenin's tomb has a massive line every day. I didn't get to see it. But you can see Lenin in his tomb, and he's all preserved. So I guess people want to pay money to see a dead body. It's got the church, got that old Orthodox church. And then outside of that, as far as tourism goes, I went to the War Museum, which is pretty interesting. It was decent. There was like some World War II museum that was pretty good. And then there's the Moscow city, which is a bunch of skyscrapers, and I like skyscrapers, like architecture. They have like 10 new skyscrapers in this one area, and it's really cool. I got a picture of it. So that's kind of like the higher end area. But yeah, just getting around the city is exhausting because you have to like go up and down these escalators of these metros. You have to swap metros, swap to new lines. So getting across the city could take like 30 minutes, and it's exhausting. I did it a few times, and then after doing it a few times, I kind of like stayed in my own area because it was too much work. The people of Moscow look, similar to St. Petersburg, except they're less alternative, they're less edgy, less tattoos. They're more business-like. It's a big business city. I lived near Lukoil. You guys heard of Lukoil? I live near the Lukoil headquarters. I walk by it every day. A lot more guys in suits. There's a ton of money in Moscow. And you can see it in the cars. There's a lot of nice cars in Moscow. Mercedes, BMW, Porsche. Tons of nice cars. So there's money there. Think about how big Russia is. That huge country. All the money is in this one city. This massive country. It's not like the United States where, New York is where most of the money is, but there's also LA, Miami, Seattle, Chicago. It's kind of spread out a little bit more. Dallas. In Russia, it's really all in Moscow and maybe a little in St. Petersburg, and then there's just nothing. It's just poverty, I guess, and Russian hillbillies. So there's a ton of money in Moscow, and you can feel it a bit. But at the same time, you don't really interact with it much. Because you're a normie, you're taking the metro. I think we already talked about this. Okay, the demographics. Ooh, what the fuck? How'd that happen? It's mostly Russian people, but there were a lot of people from like Kazakhstan, Mongolia, kind of Asian looking people. They were basically all the taxi drivers were those people. From Turkmenistan, whatever. There were a lot of those people in Moscow. More so than St. Petersburg. I think St. Petersburg was like the capital of, in my opinion, White Russia, while Moscow was more like multicultural, the seat of the whole country. The country's huge, by the way, and they have Asian people there. They have people that are Russian that look Asian, and they're more so in Moscow. They come over to Moscow to work. I think there's a lot of Muslims there too now. But like I was saying before, St. Petersburg, way more artsy. It's like the San Francisco of Russia. And then Moscow is more like New York City or LA maybe. It's like a mix of New York City and LA because it's not very walkable. It's spread out. But it is the big city. Prices were similar to St. Petersburg. It's pretty cheap. Moscow is pretty cheap, especially if you don't live in the center. A lot of the people live on that outer ring, and then they commute in via the train. Those apartments are cheap. The closer you get to the center, the more expensive it is, of course. But I remember seeing like a pretty baller place in like near Moscow City, which again is all the nice skyscrapers. I think the guy wanted like $1,400 for it. It was like on a Facebook group. That's not that expensive for like a big city. It was like a nice apartment, newly furnished. So despite there being money, the average Russian still doesn't make that much money. So the real estate there, again, no one's really buying it up. No, there's not many tourists coming. The real estate there is still pretty cheap. So you can ball out there pretty easy and get a nice apartment there for like $1,500, which is good for like a major city. You can't do that in London, New York. You can't do that in those places. You'll need at least $5,000 to do that. Maybe even more. Food was the same. There's all kinds of food, but they mainly had like the Georgian food and the Russian food, but they do have everything. It's a massive city. Food the meals were small, but cheap. When I went there in the summer, the weather sucked. It was terrible. It rained a ton. It rained like 80% of the time I was there. It was awful. And the vibe of the city was awful because of that. I just remember Moscow just being not that good. I don't have good memories of Moscow. So brutal winters. It wasn't that hot that summer. There were mosquitoes. It rained a lot. It just adds to the whole depressing part of Russia, honestly. Just the vibe of Russia, the vibe of the post-Soviet countries just isn't good. And even though they're cheap, that's why I don't go there. That's why I come to the West. I'll pay more because I want the good vibe. They can't have the vibe of Copenhagen in this country. It's impossible. Or Edinburgh. They can't have it. It doesn't work. Tourism. I talked about this, I think. Nightlife. Moscow has strong face control when it comes to nightlife. There's a lot of high-end clubs. It's like Kiev and St. Petersburg. High-end clubs where you kind of do the whole bottle thing and try and be fancy, try and be status. You know, in a lot of these clubs, you'll see like the old man surrounded by the young woman. He's got the bottle. He's got the money. That's how things go there. I went out a few times. And again, the nightlife is weird in these countries. There's no like dive bars. There's no just easy meet people spots. Like in Oslo, the venues are great, honestly. Like very easy to venues, easy to talk to people. Moscow and St. Petersburg, Kiev, it's all weird. But there's this one spot. Let me show you guys. It's called the Party Island. So it was this thing. This was the Party Island. This thing right here looks kind of like a eel or something. This is where a lot of the nightlife happened. Unless they all closed it down. Maybe they did. It was all over here. Board game club. Yacht club. Am I not looking in the right place? Maybe they all shut down. I don't know. This was 6 years ago. Okay, there we go. I think I've been to Gypsy. It cost like $20 to get in. I was pissed. It was like some stupid rapper was playing. I've been here, yeah. So this is the nightlife area. This little island down here. It's kind of annoying to get to. This is where a lot of the clubs are. And then there's a bunch of clubs spread out. I think I went to one near... Where's Moscow City? So Moscow City looks like this, by the way. That's a good pick. So it's all these skyscrapers. I think there's like some high-end clubs there. I'm not a high-end club guy. I don't give a fuck about that, but I just did it anyways. I don't know. I'm in Russia. I'll see it. So there's the Party Island with a bunch of clubs. Typical clubs trying to be all high-end and what's the word I'm looking for? Pretentious. Moscow is not a place where you're going to get a one-night stand, by the way. Neither is St. Petersburg. St. Petersburg, maybe there's a little bit more of a chance. In Moscow, your chances of getting a one-night stand are very low. It's just not part of the culture. Now, maybe you could get a girl's number and go on a couple dates with her. It's a very strong dating culture. Not the one-night stand. Here in Oslo, it's the fucking opposite. Saturday night is one-night stand city in Oslo. But dating, no one's really, I don't think people really date. It's like maybe go on like a Tinder, like one Tinder date, but Russia is more, you go on like 4 or 5 dates. Like you go on a lot of dinner dates. That's the culture. Not in the West. Complete opposite of the West. And again, no 50-50. The guy's paying. But even then, it's going to be hard because the city's so big. Like if she lives on the opposite side of the city, it's going to take forever to get to her. It's almost like a New York City thing where if you're in Lower Manhattan and the person is in the Bronx, you're not going to date that person. They're too far. There's a billion other people to see. City layout, I didn't like the city layout. Just a massive circle. It's a massive blob of city. The streets themselves, and they're okay. They're not great. There's nothing cozy about them. It's post-Soviet world. Public transport has the metro, but the metro's kind of confusing. It's easy to get lost. The metro stations are beautiful, by the way. The metro stations are beautiful. But, yeah, then there's Yandex Taxi, which is okay price, but it's going to take a while to get around due to how big the city is. Kind of talked about this already. Oh, here's another thing about the girls there. Again, this might sound misogynistic or whatever. I don't think anyone cares. This was an interesting thing we noticed. Me and my friends noticed. In the cars were always like attractive women. It was weird. Like you'll see in the car was like a really hot girl. Saw that a lot. And then taking the metro, the girls were like, they're okay, but more average. So we concluded that all the hot girls in Moscow, they all have sugar daddies of some sort, which makes sense. Because in Moscow, there's a shit ton of money. There's the oligarchs, the oil people. All the money is there. And in Russian culture, it's totally acceptable to do the sugar baby thing. Sugar daddy, sugar baby thing. That's not even what they call it. It's literally just part of the culture to do that. I think even if the guy's married, like no one cares. It's like, oh, whatever. It's Russia. That's just how it is. Like a 50-year-old dude with like a 20-year-old girlfriend. No one cares. I remember I read something. It was like an article in St. Petersburg. Some sister killed her sister. Some girl killed her sister because she was like jealous of her. She was more beautiful or something. And the girl that got killed was like 18. And her boyfriend was like 47. And most people would think like, what the fuck? Like, what's this 47-year-old dude doing with an 18-year-old? But it's Russia. Like, no, like that's normal there. Like, that's just how things are there. Like, that's an everyday thing there. It's like, oh. It's kind of like a black pill. It's kind of weird. But that's literally how Russia is. Like money, despite it being a post-communist country, like money is king there. No one cares. Money, you have money, you can do whatever you want. So if you're looking to be a sugar daddy, Moscow is not a good city because there's too much competition. If you want to be a sugar daddy, Kiev is way better, or it was way better, because there's way less money there. I would never be a sugar daddy. That shit is so dumb. It's destroying the dating market, by the way, too. Safety, same as St. Petersburg. Copy and paste. All right, we're getting to the... Same as SBB. Okay, so the English is a little better than St. Petersburg. I guess geographically and airport-wise, it's a little better because you got the bigger Moscow airports. Maybe when it comes to like business opportunities, Moscow is better. There's more business opportunities there. Maybe you're a digital nomad, you work in oil or something. I don't know. The Wi-Fi is okay, but for the most part, like, I wouldn't be a digital nomad here again. Like, I would not go back to Moscow. I would go back to St. Petersburg in a second over Moscow. And the weather's not good. I think it's a pretty low place for a digital nomad score. The only thing is its uniqueness. The uniqueness is you're in a whole nother world. You are behind the Iron Curtain. You are out of the West. You are in enemy territory. So if you like that whole feeling and you want to be like a cool, badass foreigner and feel special, then I guess go to Moscow and go to Russia. Besides that, I think there's better places to go. There's the whole world that you can go to over Russia. And you got to get the visa. So it's not easy to go to. You got to get the visa. Whew. It's a lot of talking. Yeah, I'm tired. Like Monaco, what do you mean? Tom says they're kleptocracies. I'm not Russian. Okay. That was a lot. And I got to make a video for these at some point. I got to read all this again. That'll be fun. But I did most of the legwork here. Well, I hope you guys learned something about these three cities. But ultimately, I have decided that I am done. Like earlier in my career, my digital nomad travel career, I did the whole Eastern European thing. It's cheap, it's cool. But then you realize you don't want to deal with the bullshit of just the vibe. The bad English. That's why I go to the Western Europe now. It's just nicer. And I think ultimately it's because it's a place I would live. Like I would live in Finland or Denmark. Like if I found a woman, I would be cool living there. It's a nice place. It's respectable. Have your parents come. But it's like bring your family to Ukraine or fucking Moscow. It's just weird. It's not for me. Serbia. I think it's just because I respect the countries more. I respect Western Europe more. Even though Western Europe's not doing very well with the immigration, I just respect it more. Even Spain. Spain was nice. Sevilla was nice. Is Minty from Sevilla? That shit was nice. I'd take my parents to Malaga. Chill in Malaga. Malaga looks awesome, by the way. All right, guys, I'm done. But I don't want to go to Russia. Well, Tom, then don't go there. Put on your thinking cap, your boomer thinking cap, and don't go there. Cost of living there would be interesting. You talking about Russia? I think I went over that. Real estate's cheap. It's not that expensive. Probably like $1,000 for a good apartment. Food's pretty cheap. It's a cheap place. They don't make much money in Russia. All right. What should we talk about tomorrow? What do you guys think? These are all the cities I can do, by the way. So we just did St. Petersburg and Moscow. These are all the cities I can do. I got a lot more to talk about. And we did Kiev. That's right. I think we can do tomorrow. Let's pick 3. Let's do Warsaw. Warsaw is an up-and-coming city. Have a good evening, Colleen. Thank you, Colleen, for tuning in. I appreciate it. Germany, says Gigi. Let's see. Gigi wants to see Germany. So here's what I gotta say about Germany. I've been there twice. I have been to Dortmund. I flew into Dortmund, stayed for a day with my brother. Went to Cologne, stayed for a day with my brother. And then we went to the Netherlands. And then another time, I went from Poznan, which is over here. Where is it? It's right there. And then we went to Berlin. Just for a day. So I've been to Germany twice, but like, I didn't live there. I was just there for a short amount of time. So I can't give a great review of it. I can tell you something about these places. I can try. I can tell you I would never go to West Germany again. West Germany's messed up. There's like a bajillion immigrants. It's messed up. I wouldn't go there. Berlin, though, was kind of like... Berlin's got like this crazy nightlife scene that I didn't do, which I would like to explore, even in my old age. Go to some crazy techno place. On Saturday, I went in Oslo to this club. I danced a little bit, and it was some like Berlin-themed club, which was fun, called Storgata 26. I went here. This place is pretty cool. But if you want, I could talk a little bit about Berlin. It's not going to be a great review, though. He doesn't like Germany. It's from what I've seen with Germany, it's just not a cool country. It's just weird. There's a ton of immigrants. It's all messed up. Maybe Munich's cool, because Germany is a big country. It's a big country. It's like the biggest in the EU almost. Like maybe Munich's good. It's just too multicultural, you know. It's just Germany's dead country. My friend went there and he said Germany is a dead country. It doesn't have any soul. That's what he said about it. I could do Prague. Yeah, we could do Prague. Let's do Prague. What are your thoughts on immigrants? I think that a country, you know, immigrants can be good for a country, but I don't know, if too many come, it just like the country just turns into like something else. Oh, and the whole refugee migration thing the EU has done in the past 20 years has been a complete nightmare. So it's mostly like refugees just kind of hanging out, not doing anything. And yeah, a couple million people came. A couple million people came, and yeah, it just hurts the country, and I wish it never happened because it kind of makes me doubt whether I should live in Europe or not, like full time, because it's like, you know, you walk around Cologne and it's messed up, and it's like, okay, like why not just go back to the U.S.? We got Trump protecting us now. We got a strong border. Bea says it's a dead country. He agrees. Hey, Steve. I've never been to Munich, so I don't know anything about it. We can talk about Berlin. I'll try and give it a go tomorrow. Anyways, guys, thanks for tuning in. Again, the reason I'm doing this is I'm building a travel blog. And this is going to be one of the content on there, all these city reviews. So I need to find a guy here, peterwins.co. I need to find a guy to redo this website. I paid a guy $50 to do this, and he like kind of did it half. He like half did it. So I might try and find another guy to do it for $100 who's a little better, who's not from like Pakistan or something. I want like I'll pay like a 16-year-old kid from the US or Europe, like a Western guy, you know. He can be new too. He can be a brand new guy. I don't care. I will help him. I will help him start his website journey. Throw him $100. He'll be loyal to me forever for giving him a chance. So I'm thinking the categories of the site will be city reviews, travel tips, digital nomad insights, and then the fourth one, I just want to talk about health, because that's like another thing I'm really interested in is health. You know, I've been thinking about all the aspects of health: sleep, physical fitness, nutrition, and then, you know, mentally, stress management, friendships. I love thinking about that stuff. So I might add some articles in there about health. Sexual health, I think that's important too. Gosh, something must have happened in Germany to make them so tolerant of immigrants. I wonder what that was. Yeah, that's true. That's true. Okay, you guys. I'll see you later. So tune in tomorrow night. It's actually a holiday tomorrow here. It's Red Day. It's Red Day in Norway. D1 on PS2. What's up? Got some new people coming in. We got some new people. Okay. I'll see you guys later. Is the mic still on? Yeah, I can just talk like this. Later, Steve. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate your support.